this new album, right or wrong. I mean, I call it a new album, of course, but it's been, it's been in a box tucked away under a bed or something for 42 years. So the first question has to be, why and why now?
Well, I mean, the bottom line was about 2.5 years ago when Brian unfortunately passed away. I was back in England and the COVID thing had just started. And Mick and I have kept in touch over the years. And he rang me up and he said, "Have you heard of the death of Brian?" And I said, "No," because I've been out of the music business. I was doing other things. And Mick's obviously been in the music business all the time. And we just got chatting. And he said, "Do you ever remember the demos we did of the album, which we didn't get out?" I said, "Well, I remember it." I said, "But the tapes are long gone." He said, "Have you got no tapes at all?" And I said, "Well, I probably got a cassette tape of it, like a white label copy, 2-track, because I always did. I kept everything." I said, "But to be honest, I'm in France now. I have no idea where it is. Not at all." And that's how it started.
Okay, um, so so why did this album? Why was this album not completed at the time? What happened to stop this album sort of being finished? What happened to the band?
Well, what happened to the band after the album? Well, first of all, the album didn't get completed because at the time we were actually recording what we thought would be the second album for MCA. But they decided that they weren't interested because of the new wave of British heavy metal, and we didn't quite fit into that category because we're a keyboard-based rock band.
So we sort of moved away from the sort of heavy metal sort of sound, which we never had really, but we went a bit more foreigner, AOR friendly. I think that's that lineup.
Right, I mean, I've heard you labelled as the new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, would you say that was incorrect to just put that on you?
Totally. We were always White Spirit. Were always a cut above most of the bands. They were like writing great songs for keyboards and stuff. Yeah. It's rather than just mindless heavy metal.
Yeah, I think we just got dragged along with it because obviously we did a single, Neat Records, and that was sort of one of the hubs for the new wave of British heavy metal. So we got just labelled with the whole lot. But there it is.
I mean, I'm interested. What processes were involved in resurrecting this album? Excavating these songs and Brian Howe's vocals, which came from demos, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, how big a job was it?
Over to you, Mick. You can tell him that one.
Yeah. What happened is Mal was moving backwards and forwards to France, and the COVID struck, and he got stranded in Southampton. And they'd found the tapes, and Mal had basically we sent them to a friend of ours who sort of restored them a bit, and we got them back, and I got some MP3s, and Mal just said, "Put some guitars on it." So I did. I put guitars through it, and we said, "Oh, can we do a bit here? Can we change that?" Whatever we could with what we had. So we did. We'd done as much as we could, and then Mal got back and started putting keys on it and stuff. And we got it to a certain sort of. It sounded good, but it was still the same old backing tracks, Yeah. And what happened is we tried to make the drums sound a bit better. So our friend at the record company, he sampled the bass and snare drum, and while that was happening, we had to listen to it. It sounded a lot better. And then he managed to remove the bass. So they said, "Can you put the bass down?" So I put the bass down on it. I'd done the bass, and we got that down, and then he managed to remove the guitars. So I redone the guitars as well on top of it. And then we need some backing vocals on this. So we got a friend in to do some backing vocals, and then we were listening to it. And me and Mal thought, well, why can't we take the vocals clean off the cassette? So the guy had to go, and he actually done it. Mm. So then it was the gloves were off then.
Yeah.
So it sounds as if it's kind of a newly recorded album, with the vocals recorded way back in
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a brand new album completely from the ground up, apart from 5 tracks, which are Brian's only lead vocal. All the backing vocals and the other 5 tracks are brand new vocals. All the band is brand new. It's all recorded 2022. That's when it's done. 2021.
We also done a lot of rearranging on the tracks. Well, when we just basic vocal, me and Mal sat about. We tried to make every track as dynamic as possible, like taking it out and readjusting everything. So, and that's it on every track.
Because we're sort of like 40 years on, we're slightly more. We have a different sort of way of looking at writing songs now from when we were 4 years ago. So then we think, well, because we can chop and change the vocal, we can put it wherever we want with new technology. We can just rearrange the song completely. We can move this, record this, do that. And then we can just dance around the vocals, and then we'll just rebuild the whole thing. But unfortunately, four of the vocals couldn't be salvaged. You know, they were too shot. There was too many pops and whistles and noises in them. So that's where we got the other vocalists involved.
Right. So, I mean, so what sort of condition were the demos of Brian's vocals anyway? Did they need sort of lifting up a bit with some backing vocals?
Yeah. I mean, I think the software that did it saved the vocal, but it also created a monster, because you're talking about stretching pitches, times, and then some of the tracks were 40% out from the key that should be in. Some of them were 20% less. Some of them were 10% more. It just went on and on.
So basically, we had to retune everything. And what happens? I sat there with the guitar and went through every track and got the tune and spot on the guitar, and then looked at the actual percentage on the tuner, and then everyone had to go to that, because that the track had stretched that much. It's crazy.
I mean, this is it's a big deal for Bad Company fans as well to hear this. These vocals on these tracks. I think it's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, do you feel it was a kind of a tribute to him as well to do this?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it is a tribute to him. At the end of the day, I mean, the guy's a great vocalist, and we were a big part of putting him there, to be honest, because when we first met him, he was a pop singer in a band called Shy, and he came from Daryl Hall and John Oates roots. So he's not a bluesy singer, but a solely pop singer. But we saw something in his voice, and we actually managed to get the gravel out of his voice, which at first he didn't like, because we pushed him way out of his comfort zone. But I think then he realized that was a ticket to something else. And, the end result is what you hear today. So,
sure. And the album's out today, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Is this is this leading to a full reformation of White Spirit as a band, a touring out?
It already has. Into the next album.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. What about a tour planned or anything like that?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is down to we're looking at the sales, and the interest has gone through the roof just today. It's gone berserk. I think on Amazon UK they had 3 CDs left. That was it.
Oh,
so I mean, it's gone from Norway to Sweden to Japan, Canada, America.
Top 5 Japan.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it seems to have sort of taken off. So we've been asked the same question many times, and we'd love to do it. And we sat down with all the guys, and we said, would you like to do it? And everyone said, too right, we'll be there. Whatever, we will be it. And we thought, well, great, okay. So the idea is to take it on the road early next year. But we have a lot of things to sort out in the meantime. But that's the plan. Take it out there. And we'll take a couple of the old tracks as well, and we've rejigged them for 21st century, just to give the fans the old stuff. But there appears to be a great deal of interest still there, which is it's fabulous. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of interest at the moment in 80s music. There's a Stranger Things. I don't know if you know the Netflix.
With Kate Bush.
Yeah. Me and my daughter watch that, and it's all 80s music. And
it's strange, isn't it?
Now listening to
the band. Tank Made the band. We were on the bedroom wall, a Tank poster.
Well, I mean, we're listening to stuff like "Cold as Ice" by Foreigner, and she's listening to
Ah,
all
great stuff.
it's all kind of
Yeah.
resurrecting these songs, you know.
Yeah, it's all of the time, isn't it? There seems to be. I mean, it's not. It was never deliberately done that way because obviously, when Brian died 2 and a bit years ago, we didn't want to do anything straight away because we thought people would think, oh, there they go, cashing in on the poor bloke, blah blah blah. So we left it. We left it, and we just worked on it, and we thought we'd bring it out when the time was right, and it was again. We brought it out, and then all of a sudden, this 80 resurgence starts popping up, which is great. I mean, it's great. I'm just glad the songs are out there because they're great songs. They're played brilliantly, and as the album, we're just so proud of it. It's good.
From a set tape to this is like unreal. You couldn't make it up.
No.
I always like, a lot of these albums that came out in the sort of early 80s. I think by the late 80s, the production values changed. The drums got big and roomy, and they sounds very dated now when you listen to some of the stuff that came out in the later 80s. But there's some of the early stuff.
Yeah. No, it's all I mean, there's loads of labels managed with music all over the place, but arena rock, big drum sounds. And then it goes a bit synth pop, and then it's a fashionable thing. But rock music, classic rock music, has always been there because basically it's the songs. The songs are classic songs, and they're still playing them today. And I doubt that some of the stuff that is around at the moment will be played in 40 years' time. Maybe it's the odd song. No way.
I totally agree.
And again, in 40 years' time, they'll still be playing stuff like this again, which is even more of a compliment. It's great.
Of course, grunge came along in the 90s and changed the demographics again.
Everything.
Yeah, I think music and fashion tend to follow each other. Because obviously when the rock stuff in the 70s, and then you get stuff coming, and punk rock comes and kicks it up the backside after the new wave of British heavy metal, and then new romantics come in, and then it changes again, and then it goes into rap and different versions of rap over the years, and now it's stuck in a big rut. And really, if there's a young band out there, the world's for the taking. If they can do it, whatever it is, the idea they've got, however they do it, it's waiting for them. So I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear it.
It's Gene Simmons, of course, has said that rock music is dead and the fans have killed it. Do you think he's talking a load of tosh?
I think he's Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying on the matter.
Yes, he is. That's right.
He's a very rich man, and all I'd say, he'd be a good company director. And I'm saying nothing else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Listening to the album, of course, you've got a track on there called "Runaway." I mean, I think I've got the right one, but this predates Van Halen's.
Yeah. 2 years.
Do you ever wonder if you'd got that out before? What might have been.
Well, that particular thing is the bane of my life when people ask the question, because of the synth sound and the riff, and like Mick will tell you, we wrote that in 1980, 79, and then it was actually recorded in the 80s and stuff. When the old band split up, we were playing it, and then all of a sudden. We were up for a record deal with WEA, and which just happened to be Van Halen's record company. And they cut a long
as well. We lost the deal.
Yeah, we lost the deal because unfortunately we lost out to a band called Yes, who were under another name at the time. But we didn't have the rub of the green. But the Van Halen thing, even Eddie Van Halen goes on record saying he actually started writing it sort of late 81, 82. And he didn't write the song until 83.
84.
84.
Wow.
84. And then the album is on WA Records. And all I would say is think of a Van Halen keyboard song before 1984 and think of that sound.
And John Colodner had a lot to do with it as well because he was head of Geffen as well. He was head of A&R at Warner Brothers at the time. He was involved with Van Halen.
The whole thing's in like a funny little circle. So I mean, it might be a sheer coincidence. Great. If it's not, nice comparison and nice to be taken off by somebody if that was the case. But yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, it always pops up that one because of the sound. It's just that particular sound straight away.
Someone put on the Facebook, on the YouTube video "Oh, might as well jump." I said, "No, get your facts right first, smarter." It was 82. It was 2 years before.
Yeah. I've only got the album as a collection of MP3 files. I must actually get onto Amazon, and I'll put a purchasing link actually below this video, which is the best purchasing link.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, Amazon, or do you have a better?
No, it's called HTTPS colon // I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link anyway. But it's a slinky link.
Amazon, you know, I don't think you get the best deal with people buying from Amazon.
No. It's on Apple Music. It's on Spotify. It's on Geezer. It's Amazon. It's in various shops as well, I believe. So, but I know today about 12 o'clock, I got a message to say there was only 3 left on Amazon UK.
Oh wow! Excellent.
I mean, in the other parts of Europe, it comes out in slightly different times because the distributors are all subsidiaries, and not always the same thing. So I think it's out in France at the moment. I think in Germany it comes out on the 5th, Spain on the 5th, and Japan it comes out on the 5th of August. But Japan have had massive pre-sales that were like in the top of their 2 charts already.
Yeah.
And we did an interview with Burn magazine a few days ago, and they're just like raving about it, absolutely gone nuts.
Yeah.
So we go, great, okay, well, you know, let's take one step at a time, shall we?
Yeah, well, I will definitely be ordering my copy as soon as I've done this interview. I'll get my copy in the post, I think. I'm wondering, do you have any memories recording your debut single? Was it Back to the Grind? I think your debut single was.
Yeah. It was in Neat Records.
For Neat Records, yes. Yeah,
do you have
any memories from recording that?
Yeah, it was in Wallsend in a little studio, and it was a very cramped little place. We had basic gear, and we just basically practically did it in one take, and that was it. That was recording 1979 style. It's just like
good old days.
There's no such thing as drum mics. It's just like one mic for picking up the drums, but it was very basically done. But I remember it as clear as day. Definitely, you know, it's the first sort of record I ever did. So it's one of those things you're not going to forget.
No, I suppose not. What was Colin Toms like to work with?
Colin, I mean, I've known Colin for nearly 50 years now because he's a family friend and stuff.
Okay.
And he's, but take that aside, when business is business, he'll slap the ruler down on you and tell you doing something wrong. So that's friends and business, 2 different things. But I first met him properly when we did the tour with Gillan, when we promoted the album in 1980. And as I say, I tell people that when everybody was in the front of the tour coach, getting drunk and having a laugh, he made me sit at the back of the coach with him and practice keyboards. So, you know, we got on really well, and it just went on from there, really. So the progression was that me and Mick just asked him to basically, you know, would you like to do this? So we gave him the sort of 10 tracks which were off the demo tape. And he said, well, I haven't got time because we've got tours and stuff in Japan, so I'll listen to it and we'll do 2. And 2 of them were Runaway and Lady of the Night.
Oh, okay.
And working with him as a producer, I think changed both me and Mick the way you look at things.
Yeah.
Because the guy's basically a genius, because the film music he does, the operas, the whole thing, it's just like working on a whole new different level. And we were just kids. So you just sit there and soak it all up. And go from there, and you just take it all in and be, you know, it's great to have those people around as mentors. And even to today, you know, he's taken us through this stage. That's why he's the executive producer. He's overseen all the bits and pieces and walked us through it, and all sorts of things, you know. So we're very grateful, and he's a pleasure to work with.
Okay. I mean, you just mentioned, of course, you supported Gillan, you supported Budgie as well, if I'm not mistaken. You were on the bill at the Reading Festival, which was my hometown.
I don't think we supported Budgie.
Did you not?
No, I think we played on a bill with them of lots of other bands, but we never actually went on a tour with them. We played in one of their clubs in Birkenhead that I think the bass player used to own. Yeah. And that was a story and a half. That's another story altogether. But yeah, that's quite funny.
I mean, do you have any interesting stories to tell? You know, as a support band, stories that are not going to get you sued, of course, but.
Oh, support bands. There are a few. There are a few interesting ones. I mean, if you talk about the early stuff with Motorhead and the Bingley Hall thing, we were supposed to be 3rd or 4th on the list, but because we had keyboards, we were basically told, we're not going to move them, so you best go on first.
Yeah, I know what Motorhead's road crew are like.
Yeah, so we were just kids. We went, okay, well, we don't care. We're not bothered. We'll go on first then, you know. So we went on first, and you know, I think we did quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of stories. There's so many of them. You know, I suppose, you know, if anyone was remotely interested, you'd write some of them down. But no more so than other bands. But yeah, we've come across all sorts of people over the years. You know, Purple, Foreigner, obviously the Sweet, the Tank with Metallica. I mean, it just goes on. There's like a who's who.
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest.
Right.
I even met Neil Murray in a service station once with the original White Spirit, and he was sat outside. I think it was somewhere in Nottingham having a cup of tea, looking like he'd been dragged through a hedge backwards. And we got off the tour coach, and he obviously looked, oh, there's a band, and we sort of just like nodded to each other.
Yeah,
and all this time in the future, he's actually playing on the album. So it's a strange coincidence. There's coincidences everywhere, like you said.
Yeah. You say stories about Deep Purple. Was this the Deep Purple with Blackmore, or was it must have been about the
Deep Purple with yeah, I suppose it was, yeah, because it was broken up and came back together again.
it's always breaking up and coming back together.
Oh no, it was crazy. We actually did some sessions for Ian Gillan. Because he owed quite a bit of cash to various people for whatever reason, because of his royalty problems and this, that, and the other. And we did a version of Black Knight.
Okay.
So it was White Spirit playing and him singing. And I'll tell you what, it sounded louder and better than Purple. And even he turned around and he went, wow. he said it's like having the boys in the room. And actually, there is a recording of that somewhere, because I've got it. I know I've got it.
Yeah. It's not on YouTube or anything.
No. It's in my container somewhere. It's probably still in a box, whatever it is, where all the rest of the stuff is. So,
called Hide the Salami.
Hide the Salami, yeah. Some of the stuff he was up to is just ridiculous. I think my motto of all of that was never meet your heroes. That's all I'm saying. Never meet your heroes.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Motorhead, of course. I was going to ask you if you have any interesting Lemmy stories at all.
Yeah. I think Mick, Mick, I'll tell you one just before Mick does. On that Motorhead tour, we were stood just as young kids in this massive hall in Bingley, and we're at the mixing desk just looking at all the stage and all the rest of it. And you get the feeling that somebody stood behind you, like filming you. And back in the day, it was like a big VHS camera on his shoulder. And I turned around and I was stood there with Yannick, and we turned around and we actually knocked him off the mixing desk. And he fell into the sort of boxes behind the stage, about 10 feet. And he had a carton of orange juice, which obviously wasn't orange juice. It was orange and something else. Vodka with a bit of orange juice. And he smashed the camera, but he didn't drop a bit of the orange juice. And he just dusted himself down. He went, all right, lads. And off he walked. But Mick's done loads of stuff with him, so he'll tell you a few.
Yeah, we had the same management, Doug Smith. We used to manage Girls School, Tank, Motorhead, Hawkwind. So we used to always go on with our little balls on a Friday night. Can we have some money, please, Doug Smith? And then it'd be then we go and spend it all in the pub next time. You know. But I've had a few. I went to see Motorhead. We were on the guest list. Leeds University, when we were recording This Means War with Tank. That's like 83.
Okay.
So we went and paid our respects to the boys and watched the show, and then went back to the hotel with them. So I was sitting there with Brian Robertson was in the band at the time. So there was like 4 of us all sitting around a table in the reception, and it got to about 4 in the morning, still drinking, and I collapsed. I fell asleep, my head on the coffee table. So I woke up at 9 o'clock, and I thought, what's this in my hair? Robbo had been putting cocktail sticks in my hair all night. I'm like, what the fuck's this, you know? Then Lemmy come down out of the lift and come down, sat down, and I was like, I need a drink. So he had a pint of orange, which I thought was on. And he went, have a drink of this. So I went, it was a bottle of Smirnoff with a tiny bit of orange on the top.
Orange colouring. Yeah.
The guy, he's indestructible.
Crazy people. Crazy people.
Brian Rubbo had been up for 3 weeks. he hadn't been in bed. After that tour, he collapsed. He was in the hospital for like a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
Loads of drugs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly going to look forward to hearing this album properly, not just as a collection of MP3 files. I'm looking forward to hearing this album. I'm going to get it as soon as we finish this.
Okay.
I certainly look forward to hearing about a tour or something like that to promote it. That'd be great.
Okay.
I just want to thank you both for agreeing to do this interview, and best of luck with this wonderful, wonderful album.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll do it a step at a time and see where we go. But so we're very proud of it. So hope you like it anyway.
Yeah, that's the album is Right or Wrong, and it is available to purchase right now.
Now, that's correct. Yeah.
Get there and do it. That's fine.
Lovely. Nice to meet you. Take care of yourself.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.